59 million people die each year, an average of 160,000 people per day or 2 per second. Shouldn't we talk about it, prepare for it, use what it can teach us about how to live? That comes differently for every person, but there are changes that are commonly part of the final phase of life. This video may help you understand, anticipate, and respond to some of the signs you may notice in the final hours of life. As the body begins to shut down, so does the nervous system, and that includes your thinking. A person who's dying may become confused or delirious. People with delirium may not know loved ones, what day or time it is, or where they are. Their sleeping cycle may change so that they sleep during the day and are awake at night. Some people may see and speak to things that others can't see. Delirium can be upsetting to family members, especially if their loved one becomes aggressive or unkind. I heard a story of a widow at a gathering who tearfully described how her loving husband of 55 years had yelled obscenities at her in the moments before he had died. It was clear from her description that he had been delirious, but that had never been explained to her, and she had taken everything he said to heart, making her grief infinitely worse. Try to remember that people who have delirium aren't aware of how they're acting, and their actions do not reflect their true feelings or beliefs. It is not uncommon for people to have a short window of wakefulness and clarity at the end. Someone who's been in a coma or delirium for days might spontaneously brighten, address everyone by name, and start a conversation, fully awake and engaged. Sometimes people assume that this is a miraculous sign that their loved one is going to live on after all. They might begin to celebrate or plan a range of activities, only to be crushed yet again when the patient slips back into unconsciousness. If this window of lucidity comes, know that this window does not stay open long, and be grateful for as long as it lasts. Food and fluids are fuel for the body. They are such basic necessities for life that many people would suggest that denying them to a dying person would be a form of neglect or even torture. As one man said to me, "I don't mind my mother dying of dementia, but I don't want her to starve to death." It's important to understand that we eat to live, and when a body is preparing to die, it is perfectly natural that eating should stop. But this leads to concern. When we think about not eating for days, we think about hunger pangs or feeling miserable. This is not the case. Let me explain this. During the process of dying, the body shifts from an anabolic to a catabolic state. Instead of using energy from food, the body is now breaking down fat and muscle to create energy. The body tries to spare our muscles and therefore uses fat as the main energy source. As fat is broken down in the body, ketones build up. You have probably already heard of ketones with the rise of the keto diet. Well, ketones play an interesting role at the end of someone's life. The resulting raised ketone levels suppress hunger, thirst, and pain. There's also some evidence that a high level of ketones can produce a state of well-being or mild euphoria. In fact, forcing someone to eat or drink at the end of life may prevent the buildup of ketones from happening and may reverse this metabolic process, causing increased hunger, thirst, and pain. Remember that the inability to take anything in is a symptom of the body shutting down, not the cause of it. Additionally, the muscles used to chew and swallow become weak, causing difficulties to swallow. Saliva may accumulate at the back of the throat and lead to a gurgling, crackling, or rattling sound with each breath. This sound is known as the death rattle. Sometimes these sounds can become very loud and can be distressing to hear. Still, it's a normal event that is not uncomfortable for those who are dying. If drugs are given, they are generally for the family's benefit. The death rattle signals that death is very near. On average, a person usually lives for 23 hours after the death rattle begins. In the days before a person dies, the heart is no longer able to pump blood effectively throughout the body. In an attempt to preserve oxygen delivery to the brain and the heart, blood is shunted away from the extremities and non-vital organs, such as the feet and hands. This may lead to cold and mottled extremities, from where it then travels up. It's a sign that their circulatory system, made up of their heart and blood vessels, is shutting down. The person usually becomes unresponsive, and eventually breathing will cease altogether and the heart stops. Though many people show some combination of these signs at the very end, they're not universal. And just because people show one of these signs does not mean they're actively dying. These are guideposts, not rules, and every sign has to be contextualized. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up.